There are moments in life when we don't realize how heavy we've become, not because of what we hold in our hands, but because of what we carry inside. The mind can become a sack full of stones, each one small on its own, but together, they can crush even the strongest spirit. This is the story of a man named Elias, and how he learned to let go. Elias lived in a quiet mountain village, the kind where mornings were painted in gold and evenings hummed with the sound of crickets. He was known as a hard worker, steady, reliable, and always busy. But behind his calm smile, Elias carried a heaviness no one could see. Every morning, he'd walk to the river to collect stones. Not for work, not for play, but for something he couldn't explain. He'd pick one up, whisper something to it, and place it into a sack he carried on his back. Day after day, the bag grew heavier. And yet, Elias never stopped. When people asked why, he would simply say, "It helps me remember." But what he was remembering, even he wasn't sure anymore. Years passed. His back began to curve. His pace slowed. The once bright spark in his eyes had dimmed into quiet exhaustion. And still, every morning, Elias carried his stones. One afternoon, a boy from the village saw him struggling up the hill. "Why do you carry those, sir?" the boy asked. Elias smiled weakly. "Each stone holds a memory. Some of pain, some of regret. I carry them so I don't forget the lessons they taught me." The boy frowned. "But sir, if the lesson is already in your heart, why do you need the stone?" Elias didn't answer. He just looked at the boy, then at the heavy bag, and kept walking. That night, he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, his body aching, his mind even more so. For the first time, he wondered. Was he carrying memories? Or was he carrying burdens? The next morning, Elias went to the river again. He sat on a large stone and stared at his reflection in the water. He looked tired, not from age, but from holding on for too long. He took out a stone from his bag. It was small and gray. "This one," he whispered, "is the time I failed my father's expectations." He looked at it for a long time, then, gently, placed it back into the river. The water rippled, carried it away, and for a brief moment, Elias felt lighter. He pulled out another stone. "This one is the friend I betrayed when I was young." He dropped it too. Then another. "This one, the love I lost." And another. "The time I hurt someone I cared about." Each splash was like a heartbeat, soft, freeing, real. As the sun rose higher, Elias began to cry. Tears he had held for decades flowed freely down his face. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was release. For hours, he stayed by the river, talking, remembering, forgiving. By evening, the bag was nearly empty. He held one final stone in his hand, the heaviest of them all. "This," he said softly, "is the guilt of never being enough." His hand trembled. He kissed the stone gently, as if saying goodbye to a part of himself. Then he let it go. The stone sank. And in that moment, something inside Elias rose. When he walked back to the village, people noticed something different. His steps were light. His face was calm. He didn't look younger, but he looked alive. Days turned into weeks. Elias no longer carried the bag to the river. Instead, he carried a small wooden flute he had carved himself. Every morning, he'd sit by the water and play gentle melodies. The same villagers who once pitied him now stopped to listen. One day, the same little boy who had questioned him before returned. He looked at Elias and smiled. "Sir, where did your stones go?" Elias chuckled softly. "Back to where they belong, with the river. It remembers them for me now." The boy tilted his head. "And what do you carry now?" Elias tapped his chest. "Peace." The boy nodded, smiling. And Elias began to play again, soft notes that danced with the wind. Years later, when Elias grew old and passed away, people from all around came to the river where he used to sit. They said that sometimes, if you stood still enough, you could still hear faint music in the air, gentle, freeing, like a whisper saying, "Let it go." And maybe that's the truth we all forget. That life is not about collecting, it's about releasing. We collect pain, regret, guilt, failure, and convince ourselves that carrying them makes us stronger. But in truth, it only makes us tired. Strength isn't in how much we hold. It's in knowing when to put things down. So tonight, before you sleep, imagine your own bag of stones. Each one a weight you no longer need. And one by one, let them go. Because peace doesn't come from holding on. It comes from emptying your hands, and your heart. And maybe, just maybe, when you stop carrying so much, you'll finally feel light enough to live again. If this story touched something inside you, take a deep breath. And remember, you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to let go. Tell me in the comments, what stone are you ready to release today? And if this story brought you peace, share it with someone who's been carrying too much lately. Until next time, stay gentle, and stay awake to your life.